We're in the homeschool support group.
Hey.
This is Kamika Raby and my husband.
Hey, I'm Terrence.
So I have the pleasure of serving as the VP of the Arundel Homeschool Support Group along with Melissa and the rest of the board members. So we appreciate your time and attending tonight. Had to pre-record ours because we had some family things come up, but we definitely want to keep our commitment and share our thoughts on our topics. So I'm going to speak about how to balance homeschooling and working from home, which is something that I do every single day. So I homeschool my boys and I also work from home a couple of remote part-time jobs. So I have 5 tips that I want to share with you on how you can manage that. So the very first thing that I encourage you to do is plan and communicate. Look at each week and talk about what is gonna need to be done for that week. So like for our family, Sunday's usually like our game plan day. We talk about what's ahead for the week and we communicate with that with each other. And we also let the kids know what's a plan, because kids don't forget anything.
That's right.
And they're gonna make sure that you do what you say we're gonna do. They help hold you accountable. And yeah, so just make sure that everybody in the family is aware of what's going on. And also make sure that if you're working from home, your supervisor knows your conditions. I think a lot of times we assume that people know what's going on in our lives because we know. But it's good to be proactive and communicate with your supervisor like, hey, I'm working from home. I'm homeschooling 5 kids. There may be a delay in my email response, or, you know, I'm definitely at my computer these hours, or whatever you need to communicate. Do that with your supervisor. And then always frequently communicate with your spouse. Like we talk all day throughout the day, not all day, but frequently throughout the day to keep each other abreast on what's going on, whether something came up that I need him to kind of step in and pick up the slack or whatever have you. But communication is going to be the key in being effective in working from home and homeschooling. The second thing is set expectations and boundaries for yourself. So what does your work time look like for you? If it's a time where you need like total solitude and focus, let your kids know that, like, hey, this is mom and your daddy's office hours times. Do not disturb. And let them know that, and let
stick
them
to it.
Yeah, let them know that expectation. And then what does your school life look for you? Are you better at homeschooling and helping your kids in the morning, or doing it in the evening, or flip-flopping days? Just figure out what works for you and set those expectations and boundaries. Make sure you have a dedicated workspace. And then if you're working from home and you work in a specific place that's different from where your kids are, I would say maybe invest in like some baby monitors or gates to kind of keep them safe if you have little ones. The cameras are also good to keep an eye on your older ones too, if they're, you know, in the basement or somewhere. Just kind of give you a piece of sanity, so you kind of know what's going on. You want to maybe keep them in separate places because it helps minimize distractions and it keeps you focused on your work. So yeah, that set expectations, set boundaries, and stick to them, and make sure that everyone in your family is aware of what's expected during those times. Another thing is set a routine. I love routine over schedule because for me, schedules kind of confine you, whereas routines give you the flexibility to kind of rearrange what's going on each day or throughout the week to fit your family. So order your events and the tasks that works best for you. Know that each day can look different, and run off freedom and flexibility, but make sure that you're being productive with your time. So you can set time limits. So, you know, if you're working on a project for work, like, okay, I'm gonna set a timer and I'm only gonna dedicate an hour and a half to this, and when that time is up, I'm up and about to start the next tasks. So that's one way that you can organize your routines. For your kids, my 4th point is to have independent activities. This is something they can do totally by themselves without asking you for help while you're working on your work for your job. So this could be like workbooks, online learning apps, educational TV shows, tablet time. I have no issues with tablet time for my kids, especially if it's educational.
Right.
So something that is gonna keep them interested and engaged without interrupting you. If it's for your older kids, maybe they can take like a free online course. Do something with coding, STEM, something that just interests them. If it interests them and it engages them, they're likely not going to interrupt you. So take advantage of those. And lastly, the fifth thing that I feel like is so important is to avoid that parent guilt. We all feel it. No matter how much time we spend with our kids, we feel guilty for not giving them every waking moment of our lives to them. So avoid that altogether if possible, and to give yourself grace as a parent. You're going to make mistakes. Some days are going to feel less productive than others. It's going to be hectic, but that's okay. Each day is a new opportunity to do better, to maintain, to make adjustments. So take advantage of that. Acknowledge when you're tired and when you need to rest, and make sure you take time for yourself. And then avoiding parent guilt, know that it's also good to kind of switch up your routine as needed so you can have a healthy balance, work life and home life. So I hope these tips helped you, and we're just going to turn it over to my husband, who's going to talk about what it looks like for a dad or a spouse to support the parent who's primarily homeschooling the kids.
So I think it's a perfect segue with everything that Kamika was talking about as far as support goes. That's probably one of the biggest roles that me as the other parent can play. How does that support look? Sometimes that support is making sure that mom gets her dedicated me time. Because it's absolutely important, right? If mom's not well rested, if mom's not fresh, then it's going to affect the rest of the family. It's going to affect how she does as far as teaching, how energetic she is with the kids, how creative she is with the kids. All of that matters. And so for me, I have to be very present. I have to be very cognizant of what she's doing. Another thing is to not just put all of that on her, to say, oh, well, I'm working outside of the home, so everything that happens within the home is you. So it's important to ask, hey, what are the kids learning this week? How can I help? Right? That's one of the things that we talk about all the time, because I think that moms a lot of times, and I can speak about this for Kamika, they have the superwoman complex where I have to do every single thing. And so for me, I constantly communicate like, hey, what is it that you need help with? What is it that I can do? Because if she doesn't tell me, I don't know. Contrary to popular belief, we as husbands are not mind readers. And so for me, one of the things that I always try to say, hey, where can I help? What do you need me to do? Because those things, number one, I think that they help grow your relationship, right? As a married couple, but then it also sends that message to your spouse that she's not in this alone. Right. Because I think with her spending the majority of the time with the boys, sometimes she might feel like that. And so with me constantly engaging, hey, where can I help? How was school today? And then even reinforcing what is being taught. One of the things that I like to do when I come home is say, hey, when we talk to the boys, hey, what'd you learn today? What'd you work on today? And, they'll come and they'll tell me and they'll show me their work and all of that kind of stuff. And so that's a perfect opportunity to reinforce what mom has already done. So I think that's the biggest thing, support, communicating. And then probably the last thing that I would say is initiative. Initiative is doing those things without your wife necessarily asking to do that. So she's gonna play this video back, right? Watch. She's gonna use it against me.
Got it on camera.
But yeah, the initiative is huge. To just jump in there, right, and just be a part of it. And when you have an off day, when you get home early, right, or if you have the opportunity to go and work a little bit later, jump in the mix. I guarantee you the kids will appreciate it. Your spouse will appreciate it. So those are probably some of the big things for me. Support, obviously communicating, and then showing initiative. And just always remember, man, it's a team effort. if it's all on mom, then at some point mom's gonna get burnt out. I don't care how spectacular, how awesome mom is, she'll get burnt out. So we as husbands, we gotta give that support.
Yeah. So thanks for your support.
Always.
Great job. Well, thanks guys for tuning in and listening to us share. And thank you to Melissa, who fearlessly leads our homeschool support group team, along with Missy and Candace and Crystal, Leslie, Diana, and Jessica. Thank you guys so much for your dedication, and thank you guys for being members and trusting us and being a part of our family and our community. So homeschool on.